listen to me as I slow it down. Can't tell yours if you want it. Take the ride, 'cause those ups and those downs is what makes it worth it.
Hello everyone, Nicole Kriegel, IPE Bikini Pro and owner of Team GoldenGrit here. A couple days ago on Facebook, I saw someone ask, how do I read an Inbody scan? And I thought that would be a very interesting video to make. So today I am going to be going over the Inbody 270. Now this Inbody can tell you a lot, especially if you are doing it in an accurate way. It is a good thing to do to track your progress. It's gonna tell you your body fat, it's gonna tell you your muscle mass, even down to how balanced you are. So like, do you have more muscle on your right side? Do you have more muscle on your left side? Like, it's really good information to know. So we're just going to start from the top, work our way down, and show you guys how to read an Inbody scan. So first section is going to be the ID section. So your ID is how you are registered in the system. I would highly recommend to create an ID because when you come back and do another scan on the same machine, it will save your information. And then down below, it will end up making a chart where you can visually see your progress and you won't have to keep hundreds of these papers. Otherwise, beside it, it just shows your stats of your height, age, gender, and when you took the test. Now, if we go down a section, it says body composition analysis. So this is where it actually starts to get into the depth of the information. So this is a breakdown of your body weight. So when you step on the scale, this is a breakdown of each section of why the scale says that number. So the first thing is the total amount of water in your body. So in my case scenario, it was 100.5 pounds. The second thing is going to be your dry lean mass. So this is going to be like your bones essentially. That is 36.6 pounds. And then you have your body fat mass. And that was 25.9 pounds. You add that all together, that equals my total weight of 163 pounds. Now, looking at it, you might say, oh my God, you have 100 pounds of water in your body? Like, holy cow. That isn't just water floating around in your system. That is water that is in your muscles, water that is in your soft tissues, just any type of water that is in your body. And if you remember from school, your body is made up of 70% water. So you can see why that number is quite high. Once we actually go down further on this page, you'll see specifically of how much pounds of muscle, of just purely muscle mass you have. So going down to section, we are now on muscle fat analysis. Now, how this is displayed, you have on the left-hand side a bar with a down arrow. That means you are in the lower percentile. In the middle, you have a bar with just a dash. That means you are in the quote-unquote normal ranges or the okay ranges. Then you have the upper arrow, which means you are in the excess or you have extra of it. So the first thing is going to be just your total weight. Now, looking at your total weight on the down arrow, middle, and up arrow scale is not really going to be accurate. A lot of it because what your weight is doesn't really matter. It's more so what your body fat and muscle mass percentage is. Because if we would look on this, according to this chart, with myself being 5'8" and 163 pounds, I was in the excess category. So technically this chart is telling me that I'm overweight. And I know that's not true because if we go down to the next section, which is skeletal muscle mass, you can see that I have 78.3 pounds of muscle mass, which is way in the upper category. So because I have so much muscle mass on my frame, it was causing my body weight to look heavier. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the BMI that we'll see later on in this test as well. That is not really an accurate thing. But another thing that is accurate is the third one, which is body fat mass. Now, with this, you typically want to be in that middle category, or if you are an athlete or someone who is wanting to be a leaner state, it is okay to be in that downward category. So at this time, I was 15.9% body fat, which is fairly lean. Otherwise, if we go, oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. This is the body fat mass in pounds. So it showed that I had 25.9 pounds of muscle mass on me. If we go down a section, that's where it gets into the body fat. The first one is the BMI. Like I said before, disregard that. BMI is not valid. It does not take your muscle mass into consideration, so just ignore it. The other one down below is the body fat percentage. So in this case, I was 15.9%. Again, you can see on that chart that I was in the lower category, which again is okay. But it's funny because if you look at the BMI, I am right on that edge of almost being in the too high BMI, of being like overweight. But I am in the under category when it comes to body fat percentage. So that just goes to show that it's not a good thing to measure. But if we move down, this is now the segmental lean analysis. This is one of my favorite parts because this is where it starts to get, I don't want to say really sciencey, but it gets really technical, where you can see where exactly your muscle mass is and how balanced you are. So like from a bodybuilding perspective, I love it because the name of the game in bodybuilding is to be not just lean and a lot of muscle, but to be balanced. So you can see in the middle, it has a little picture of a person. When it printed out this paper, it kind of didn't print out the person very well, but it's supposed to be there. But the very middle is the trunk. So that is basically if you would not include any of your limbs, so no arms, no legs, just this middle portion here. In pounds, it is 61.2 pounds. If we go over and look at the arms, you can see that my left arm is 7.9 pounds of muscle. My right arm is 8.2 pounds of muscle. So my right arm is just like a hair stronger, which is pretty normal. I am right-handed, so I do a lot of things with my right hand. And especially with being like 0.1 off, not a big deal. You're not gonna visually be able to see that difference. Left leg is 21.03 pounds. Right leg is 21.25 pounds. So pretty even with that. And then if we go down and look at the percentage, that is how much you would need to theoretically be healthy. So if you are doing an in-body scan and, for example, you look at your legs and your percentage is only at like an 80%, then you know for an average person, or to quote unquote be healthy, you need more leg strength because you should be at least 100%. Now looking at these percentages and looking at the muscle fat analysis where I was in that upper category for the amount of muscle I have, it makes sense of my percentages being over 100. Otherwise, if we move down, your body composition history, so this is information from where I was in the previous years or the previous times that I took this scan. And that's why I was saying before it's important to enter your ID so you can see the trends. So far, looks like I'm on a really good path. If we hop all the way over to the right-hand side, this is going to be giving you some recommendations of how much body fat you should lose or gain and how much muscle mass you should lose or gain. And according to their system, I'm sitting in a good spot. When it comes to research parameters, it just shows you in sum that what is your lean body mass. So your lean body mass is how much you weigh if you would theoretically have no body fat on you. So at this point in time, if I wanted to have 0% body fat, which is not attainable, I would weigh 137 pounds. So I use this a lot for bodybuilding reasons and going into a prep, especially for clients where they have never done a prep before and we don't really know what their stage weight will be. If we know what their estimated lean body mass is, that can at least give us a little bit of a guideline of where we want to go to step on stage. Keep in mind, like I said, being 0% body fat is unrealistic, unhealthy, and very unsafe. To be a healthy female, being anywhere between like 15 to 21% is a good range. If you are a male, being anywhere from like 8 to 15, 16%, you're in a pretty lean state. Now, below that is going to be your basal metabolic rate, so BMR. That is how many calories you would burn if you were to do nothing all day. So kind of tells you a little bit like where your metabolism is at. Again, you still have to factor in your daily routine and like your exercise, but at least gives you a little bit of an estimation. Doing an actual nutrition evaluation will be more beneficial than just reading off of a paper because, again, this is an estimation. Okay, otherwise, and then SMI is just your skeletal muscle index. So if you are someone who's a little bit older, you can look at that and it can tell you a little bit about bone density. But that is going to be the overview of how to read an Inbody test. If you have an Inbody test and you want to improve on your results, feel free to reach out to me either on Facebook or on Instagram DM, and we can chat and figure out a game plan for you. But otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and I will chat with you guys later. Bye.
Listen to me as I slow